Today with me, I have Daija Me. Hello, my girl. How are you?
Girl, I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. I'm so happy to be able to connect with you because I know you've been super, super busy, living life, working hard. So I'm glad we have a chance to catch
Thank you
up.
for having me. Thank you for asking me. I'm very happy to be here.
Of course, absolutely. And today we were just talking about this. You are going to be in the spotlight because I know that you've been killing it with your interviews, but now it's all about you today.
That's so weird because I'm like, yeah, I'm used to being the one asking questions. So when you like are asking me questions, I'm looking like, wait, huh? What?
You're like,
It's
what
weird.
do I do? I don't know who I am. Yeah,
Right.
I love
That's
it.
what I need to talk about.
Girl, if you don't want to answer it, you're just like, cut, interview over, we're done with this. If you,
No, girl.
no,
I'm an open book. Whatever you want to know.
I'm not going to be hitting you with the hard questions, so don't worry about that. But let's get started. So, Deja, you're based out of Philly, correct?
Girl, yes.
Yes. So, born and raised.
Yep. So I'm like in a little small town right outside of Philly, and I've born and raised here.
And you're a Temple alum. So, your roots are pretty deep in that area, for sure, for sure.
Yeah, I want to expand and go elsewhere, but I don't know when.
You'll figure it out. You got time. Well, you just graduated, right? So, huge
hmm
step, huge achievement in that, especially in the midst of the pandemic. But you didn't let it stop you. You graduated, you're working on the radio, you're going hard with your own brand. So I want to talk a little bit about it. But first and foremost, you went to Temple. Is that where you got started on the radio or was it before? I want to know how you got started.
So yeah, no, it didn't start at Temple. I did like the whole out of high school thing. I did community first, and then I did 2 years at Temple. So I did 2 years community, 2 years at the university, and at the community college is where I started. So it was called Monco Radio. And my senior year, how I even got it's so weird. Like my senior year of high school, I had a blog. I created a blog my junior year of high school. My senior year, I wanted to do a talk show for the blog. And my blog at the time was called Imperfectly Beautiful. So I was like, oh, I'll call it Imperfect Talk Show. But I never recorded anything in high school. Like brought a camera, like did like little test videos, never did anything with it. And it was just going to be like a talk show, like a face-to-face, like a Wendy Williams type vibe is what I was going for. And I never did anything with it. I graduated high school. I took those little few months off from going to school because I didn't want to go to college. I was like, I know what I want to do. I want to do media. I don't really need to go to school for that. So I didn't want to go. So then that when do you graduate? You graduate around like May, June. I think I graduated like June. And then January I went to community college, and I was like, oh, I could just join the radio club. How that even came about was crazy. I was just sitting in a chair, and these guys walked up to me and they were like, do you want to join a Monco Radio? And I was like, oh yeah, sure. Like, okay, cool. And I was like, what am I going to call my show at Monco? What am I going to call it? And I'm like, oh wait, I have Imperfect Talk Show because I was going to use it for my blog and I never did anything with it. So let me use that for the name. And I just stuck with it. So I was there. I did that for the 2 years, and I've been in love with it ever since.
That's so awesome. And you did radio. Did you continue that over when you transferred to Temple?
Yeah, so I did radio at Monco, and then when I went to go look into Temple, I know they had, and I was actually talking to DJ Damage because he went to Temple, and he was like, "You need to try to go to Temple, and you need to try to get on WHIP." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I do want to go to Temple, whatever." So their radio station is called WHIP. So when I went to go for my like first day orientation at Temple, that was like the first thing I looked for. Like, whose information do I need to send my stuff to so people can know, like, this is with me, I'm here, this is what I'm trying to do. And as soon as I sent them my air check, they were like, oh my God, we don't have anything like that on our station. Like, yeah, we want you here. So I pretty much started Temple at the radio station. And then my senior year at Temple, I was the entertainment director for the station.
Wow.
Yeah.
Look at you, girl. Just like literally sitting in a chair. Hey, you want to sign up? Okay. And that's how you literally got started.
And it was the weirdest thing ever. Like, it was so weird. They just walked up to me. It's like, hey, do you want to join? Because they were like, it's a club at community college. So they were just like, like, we're looking for people to join. So they just see me sitting there. And I was like, oh my God, yeah. Like, of course. And I went to the meetings. They had me on like the next day. And that was just that.
So maybe it was like imperfectly perfect because you were like, I don't want to go to college. And then you enroll and then this happens. It's like, that was not your set plan. And then look where you are now, which is so incredible.
Crazy, right? Yeah.
I love it. That's a good story because it's like,
so crazy I don't talk about it. So you asking me, I'm like, that is crazy that happened like that. Because you don't ever really think about your own situation until you're telling somebody. But who am I ever telling when I'm the one asking all the questions all the time? So
exactly. Yeah. That's why I was like, girl, this is all about you today. So I'm going to ask you all these questions about you and your passion and your path, all this stuff. But so you're now on the radio. So you transitioned from like the radio club transition, and you were like the exec of the radio station basically at Temple. But now you're on the radio right now in Philly, right? You're a part of iHeart Radio family.
So yeah, so I got my job at iHeartRadio my senior year. So that was in November of Temple. And so basically what I do there is I'm a board op producer. So I produce and I do a lot of behind the scenes work for the shows that are on air. My goal is to put me on the air, please. And I want to be on the actual radio there. So that's what I'm working towards. And I've been doing like a little, I just did it recently, like a little, an interview, and it was on all the stations. So like I'm working my way up there, but I'm just happy to be there in that building because it's like, it's a dream come true. That was iHeart is was my dream publication. It was like somewhere I wanted to work for the longest. And they have like a portal where you could see all the jobs that I applied for over like the last 4 years. And it's like over 30 jobs just trying to get there. Being there has just been such a great journey so far.
And I think that the only direction is up from here, which is so nice because iHeart is such a huge company and they're in virtually every single market, like major city. So in terms of being able to relocate, like you said, you may want to test something out somewhere else. You have that opportunity. You don't feel like you're stuck in Philly and you're like, now I got to start all over and do that. No, you have like the world in your hands, which is so incredible.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm really happy and grateful to be here because it's also a hard place to get into, like a hard, company. So it's like to be in there and like working around things that I want to do has definitely been like great.
That's so cool. I'm so proud of you. Because it's like I hear your air checks on Instagram and I, tune into your show, but it's nice to hear, the backstory and how you really got started because people are like, oh, I've been doing this for years and it's blood, sweat, and tears. And I think like you had that passion, but you also had that opportunity and you're like, oh, I'm not missing this. I'm going to jump right on it and do this. But yeah.
And it's so hard sometimes because you get so like you just said, like, you get the opportunities. You're like, oh, I'm jumping on this. I got to do it. And then like, you have your moments where it's just like, dang, I've been doing this for a minute. When is it going to happen? What I want to happen. But what I've been trying to do is like, just enjoy the journey. Because like, I think when you look so far ahead of stuff and you're so focused on what's going to happen, you miss everything that you could be learning right now. Like stuff that I'm learning right now is going to benefit me so much more in the future. But if I'm just focused on that, I'm going to miss everything that I'm learning. So that's what I'm trying to work on that, but it's hard.
No, for sure. Yeah, because you imagine yourself 5 years, 10 years from now, this is going to be my show. This is, I'm going to be syndicated. I'm going to be all this stuff. But you have to learn, like you said, the board up, the producing. You have to learn all the back part of stuff because it makes you appreciate your role down the road so much more because you're like, I know all this stuff. I know how to handle myself, what I need to do, when to like cut down to that 30 seconds, timing. Everything is imperfectly perfect. Yeah.
Right? You gotta be patient because I remember when I first like went into iHeart, I thought that I did college radio for basically 4 years at Monco. I'm at Temple and like I know what to do when I get here, and I got there and it was a whole different world, and it was like, oh, so I'm not as ready as I thought. Okay, let me get ready and learn all this stuff all over again. So patience is so important.
For sure. Now, did you study radio communications or media when you went to school, or what was your major?
Yeah, so for Monco and for Montgomery County, it was Montgomery County Community College. When I was there, when I was at Temple, I believe actually both my majors for both of them were media studies production. When I got to Temple, I wanted to do journalism, but when you transfer, there's a whole bunch of credit issues, so I had to just stick with media production. But yeah, that was my major, media studies and production.
Now, do you feel like you're taking a lot of what you learned and applying it now, or do you think it's more of like the hands-on being in the moment that really is giving you the most knowledge?
No, it's so weird because I feel like with that major, in college, they seem to focus it a lot on TV and production work like that. So I'm going to relate back to Temple. I was a part of like Our Sports Update, and that was like, you know, a sports station or whatever. And that was a part of my major. Like that was like something in the group, but we only focused on like, I know how to operate a camera, but at a radio station, I'm not operating a camera at all. Like I don't touch a camera. I know how to do other stuff, but I'm not doing that at the radio station. So it's, and there were classes I could have taken at Temple, like, you know, radio. At my community college, I took like a writing class for media. So like those things are kind of like beneficial, but not really. I feel like I'm not doing really much with what I learned, but I do have the knowledge of doing other stuff, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. Interesting. All right, because I went for English communications. It's like, yeah, I know how to read and write, but am I doing anything? Well, now, what, how many years later, 13 years later, I'm actually finally like putting it to good use. Whatever. It's cool.
That's so crazy. I wanted to, when I first graduated high school, I wanted to go to college for English professional writing. I wanted to do English and writing. Like I wanted to write for magazines, and like that was like something I wanted to do too. But it was all entertainment field. So
that was the same with me. So if we ever start a magazine, like we need to do this together. That will be our passion project.
Yeah, I was obsessed, girl. I was obsessed with 17 magazines. Now I'm obsessed with Cosmos being older. So yeah, that is never gonna go away. The magazine love.
We got to get you an advice column, something in there, you know, or just write like contributing writer. We got to get you in too. There's no stopping you. There's no stopping you.
You gotta just work. I feel like it's so, you have to, when you have like so many things you want to do, for me personally, when I have so many things that I'm like trying to do, I'll just stop and do nothing. I'm like, you know what, let me put Netflix on. I don't got time for this right now. Capping in. But yeah, it's really nothing to do but to just do it. And you just gotta be not lazy and do it. And I feel like I'm lazy sometimes.
Well, I think working all the time, then you're just like, oh, I actually have a free moment. Let me actually just sit here and chill for a bit. Because it's a very rare opportunity that you're like sitting. That's why I'm like so happy that you're taking time to do this interview, because you just said you were at the station super early this morning and you have to go back in just a few hours. Like you're nonstop. So to squeeze me in, I appreciate you.
Well, thank you for asking me. I'm happy.
Of course, absolutely. So enough about the radio right now. I want to talk a little bit about your Imperfect Talk show. So tell me about it. You told us the background and how it got started, but tell us about the whole format itself, podcast. Is it, you know, visual, audio, all the good stuff about your show?
Yeah. So I don't, you know, it's crazy to have had something for so long. I don't really have a set format. I know the basis of the show is to talk about, it's really personal. So I talk a lot about my own life, my own experiences, things that I go through. I like to talk to people about their opinions on, like, you know, personal things that I go through. And I feel like it stems a lot about relationships. I kind of just started getting out of that. And like, you know, I talk to athletes now about what's going on with them and like, you know, doing things like that. But it's just a show to feel relatable to, you know, like just to have someone to be like, oh, okay, like you went through that, that's so crazy, like me too, let me give you my opinion on that. As far as it being a podcast, I haven't thought much of it. You know, I started out the inconsistent part with being on YouTube. I made YouTube videos. Then I got on Instagram and I'm like, oh my God, I love Instagram so much better. Let me start posting like little clips on Instagram. And then I was like, okay, also when I started to do more interviews with like, you know, celebrities, I'm like, oh, let me post them on SoundCloud. So I feel like my platform is spread all over and it's a whole mess. So when you ask me that, I'm like, I don't really have a specific platform that everything is on. It's just all there. But
it's not a mess. That just means more exposure, because some people are true to YouTube, true to Instagram, true to SoundCloud. So it's like, hey, the more exposure the better. So it's not a mess. You're just putting yourself out there.
Yeah, I just gotta be consistent with doing it in one location and like that being the whole thing. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It was just a idea that I had that I just wanted to just talk, you know, like low-key, like it's like my vending session. Like this is what's going on in my life. Like whatever. I don't really care. You can know. I don't really care. But this is what's going on. Let's talk about it. Or what's going on with you? Tell me a story. And that's just pretty much, it went from there.
Now, are there any topics that are totally off limits for you to talk on your show?
No.
You're like, yeah, no, none.
No. I'll talk about anything, literally, especially if I have someone else to bounce it off of. Like, I remember DJ Damage I used to talk to him back when I was at Monco, he was like, you know what? It's a talent to be able to sit in a room and talk to yourself. Because that's all I would do is like just sit there and have a whole conversation with myself. But I think it's like I would talk about a lot of stuff, and nothing would be off topic if I was like communicating with someone else. But yeah.
Yeah, but then to sit here and have a monologue, you're like, do I want to talk about that? Is that off limits with myself? What do I want to say? You know?
Talk to yourself about that, like whatever, but
I love it. Now, do you have a favorite interview that you've done? Because you just interviewed Nezzy, who is singer-songwriter. You've had Miami Dolphins on, like, player on there. You've had like a wide array of interviewees. Do you have like a particular favorite interview that you've done?
I would honestly, if I had to pick a favorite, I would probably go back to when I first started everything, because I was just starting, and I thought some of those were good. I'm like, oh, so you're not bad at what you want to do. Like, you're just not getting started, and like, you're not that bad. This was one interview that I did. And I don't know if it's like my favorite interview overall, but it was kind of, I'm trying to think. I think it was like my first interview when I was like asking like legit questions based off of something. Like it was not based off of just music. I was interviewing a lot of music artists. It wasn't just that. It was based off of like a book he wrote about his life. And I also love that interview too, because it was like my first time. I recorded it in the studio. It was my first time like editing like a 2-camera interview. So I just loved everything about that interview. His name is Michael Kitt, and that's on my YouTube page. But that was like back maybe in 2018, so it wasn't too long ago. And it wasn't when I first started, but it was when I started to get my feet wet with interviewing outside of like music.
Now, you've done your air checks. I love them. I'm always like, yes, I love hearing Daija's voice on here, giving me all the news. Now, what would you say is like your biggest passion? Because you are interviewing different people from all areas of life. You're talking about your personal life. Now you're giving music, news. What would you say like is your truest passion?
I like personal things. So as well, I appreciate, being in the media and like being an inspiring radio host on actual air for like the world. You have to talk about like hot topics and celebrity gossip and stuff like that. But the crazy part is I'm not really into that. I want to talk personally. Like I want to like, this is my story. This is like a little funny story of mine. Like, let's share yours. What do you got going on? Like I'm a personal kind of person, so I like to talk personal. So I think that something like along those aspects of just sharing personal stories and having more of a personal connection, than, you know what I mean, it would be more of like my thing. My passion is just to connect personally.
Nice. I love it. All right, I'm gonna put you on the spot now. Okay. Because I love your air checks. Tory Lanez just came out with that new album that's super controversial. So I want you to give us a quick air check. Pretend you're on the radio right now and tell us what you think about it. I really am putting you on the spot. All right? So, because I love your things, like when you had like, Chris Brown, you're like, oh, this is go crazy. I loved that one. I'm like, your energy is so fire.
You do. It's so funny because when I was just shadowing a personality the other day, and she was like, we were face to face, and she was like, okay, so go ahead and give me a talk break in between these songs. I'm looking like, in person, like, you want me to do my air check in front of you? And she was like,
yeah, you give a dumb feeling. You're like, I don't want to do this. Yeah.
You're so cringeworthy. I don't even know what I was. I didn't even listen to his new album.
Just even like the overall, I guess, based on the news and what's been happening, and now he's come out with this album and he's talking shit about her, talking shit about Kehlani and JoJo. There's a lot. He just spilled the whole tea bag and the whole teapot all over the media industry or music industry right now.
Okay. If I was talking about Tory Lanez, it would have to come out of a song that either has him in it or Megan in it. And I'm trying to think about what songs have him in it. I think he has a song with Kehlani that's on the radio.
Yeah, which I love that song, and now she has not put it on the deluxe album, and I'm just like I hate to say, but I love him. I'm just so mad that he did stupid shit.
Yeah, Tory. I don't know. Like I've never really been like a fan, but like if he has something hot, of course I'm gonna listen and I like it. So I don't mind him. I thought his quarantine radios were very entertaining in the beginning of quarantine. Like I watched those. I think he's a character, but like I don't really if we don't ever have a Tory Lanez again, I won't care. But
you're like, that's my air check. I don't care. The end.
What would I say? I'm trying to see if I want to give you like a front sale, back sale of it. That's so crazy. Okay, let's pretend we're coming out of a Megan Thee Stallion song and going into the Can I song. Jeez, girl.
We literally went from WAP to Can I. All right, so let's do that.
WAP to Can I? Okay. What would I say? Dang. Even if I was getting ready to talk about it, I would still be like considering what I was gonna say. And that was like one of the things I have to work on with like being a personality in general.
I am doing this right now. This is practice.
Girl,
you're like, don't make me practice on your interview. How dare you?
No, I'm trying to commit. Okay, let me say. What would I say? I was like, okay, don't want to think too much about it. This might be a little rough, Katie.
It's all right.
Okay, I think I would say something like WAP by Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. It's your girl Daija ME right now on the airwaves. And going into the next song is Kalani featuring Tory Lanez. Now, Tory Lanez just dropped this project and he is going in, spilling all the tea on what's going on with Megan Thee Stallion, Kalani, JoJo. He just dropped it all. But right now, here is him and his person he's beefing with, Kalani, with Can I? That's probably what I would
That's
say.
amazing. That's amazing.
That was not good.
No, but I will say it's good because you literally have no frame of reference for his album because you haven't listened to him. You're not like a dedicated fan or really feel super strongly about like Team Tory or Team Megan. You're delivering the news and it's a good transition between their two songs. I liked it. I know you're probably critical about your work. But I like it.
You know, because I just realized when I was training with another personality that I'm a talker. And she was like, "Stop! Don't be so chatty in between songs." And I feel like I just rammed to you just now.
I loved it. So
it's you. If this is your show, if you like it, then I love it. Like,
well, I mean, and granted, I didn't even tell you I was going to do that. There was no preparation. I literally just put you on the spot. So, you know, that's part of the work. Sorry, I'm getting a phone call on my work phone. How dare they? Rude. Oh, it stopped. I'm like, don't you know I'm busy? God.
That you're off.
Exactly. I have the day off. Leave me alone. Do not disturb. Sorry, it was just bugging. I didn't know if you guys heard it vibrate. That's why I was like, sorry. No, I loved it. So thank you so much for the impromptu air check. So, but I always get excited.
Do that because I need to learn how to do it on the spot. So there we go. So 1-1 for both of us.
Right. So if it's in person or over a Zoom, I'm like, you're going to have to keep practicing and these personalities going to put you on the spot. So you have to just like keep up with it. And you're like, boom. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go. It's so funny. I love it. So Daija, where can we find you? Because you are on Instagram, you are on SoundCloud, you're on YouTube. I want everybody to know where to find you so they can listen to all different parts, whether it be your interviews, your air checks, your Instagram lives. Like, we need to know it all. So where can we find you?
I would say personally, Instagram is my #1 social media platform. I feel like once you go there, you can see a lot of my work. You can see a lot of little clips of what I do. And then also if you click the link in my bio, I have a link tree. You can go to YouTube, you can go to SoundCloud. So it's all just there. Instagram is Daija ME. So it's DAIJA, period, the little dot, ME. And that's where I am.
Good. I mean, I already follow you, so I'm like, but now, like, make sure, subscribe. What do you do on SoundCloud? Can you follow, subscribe? Like, what's the deal? I only just click on SoundCloud, so I don't know.
I think you can follow on SoundCloud.
Just follow her. Follow her. Listen to all her stuff. So, all right, one last thing, because, yeah, you want to one day maybe, hopefully, write for a magazine, and you want to be an on-air personality, but, like, what is like your ultimate dream job? We're gonna end
my
with
ultimate dream job is to be a TV host, like Wendy Williams, like Oprah, not Oprah, but like something along those lines. But like on a TV hosting a show.
Are you gonna be as messy as Wendy?
No.
Thank you. You don't give me those vibes.
I told you I want more of a personal. I want the show to be more personal than we just talking about celeb gossip. I don't want that, but that's my goal. Something along those lines. I do love Wendy Williams though. I do love her. I love her a lot. I feel like if you have it in you and you have the boldness to go ahead and be messy and just do it, it's working for her. You see what
It is.
She is a star. You know what I mean? Like she's work. So I admire it.
You're like, I can't hate on this woman, but no, you definitely have class. So I was like, I don't think you're going to be petty and you know, gossipy too much like that, because she is messy. She's in the news for a lot of what she says, and not just her show. Like, hey, watch her show. It's like, did you see what she said? So
for years, she's just been like, yeah. But I love her.
All right, so we gotta. Right. So maybe we can like tag her and get her on, you know, maybe you could start on her show and then when she retires, then you can like take over her show. Yes.
Change the words to Daija ME, not Wendy Williams. It will have to be a whole different vibe.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Wait, no, one more question. So when you do have your own TV show, like how do you imagine your set to look like?
Oh my God, that's a good question. I don't know. I want it to be like, I love Wendy's set. I want a bright setting where it just feels like lively and fun. I'm trying to think about one. I think that I like her setting. I would want it to be something along those lines, but I have like a whole different, I think she has like the shoe cam. I would want everyone to come out and like pick an envelope and you have to read a scenario and like say how you would handle that scenario at the end of the show. Like that's how mine would like happen. But I would want the set to be like that bright, colorful, like, you know, just bedazzled little spot. I don't know.
All right, we're going to speak that into existence. So in a few years, when you're on TV, we're going to take that beautiful radio voice and actually put it on camera. And you even know how to operate a camera. So you could be like, listen, I'm the host and the camera woman. I'm going to be doing it all. I produce this show. I love it. All right. So yes, I'm going to be looking forward to it, your debut on TV. But until then, I'll just listen to you on the radio and on Instagram. So
I appreciate it.
Of course.
And thanks for having me. You're so good at what you
do. Thank you. Likewise. No, I'm so happy. Season 2 is too late to be having you on. I should have had you on first season, but I love you, girl. And then hopefully I'll be able to see you in just a few short weeks when I come to Philly.
Oh, you're coming to Philly?
Yeah. You don't remember the group text and you're like, yeah, let's do brunch?
Yes. Sorry. I'm like, you coming to Philly, girl?
You're like, this is brand new information. I did not know that.
I everything. Gave a whole schedule. I gave my schedule and everything. I didn't forget. Sorry. But yeah, no. You make that happen.
Listen, you've been up super early this morning, so I'm letting this pass. Don't even worry about it. But I'll be seeing you in like a month and a half. But awesome. Daija, thank you so much for joining us today. I super, super, super appreciate it. And can't wait to hear more from you.
Yes, thank you for having me, girl. Good luck with your show.
Thank you. All right. Bye.